You're listening to the Back Porch Talk podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us. Welcome to the Back Porch Talk podcast. I'm your coach, Jason.
Your co-host, Danny.
And we got a full show for you today, so let's get to it. The NFL, a little bit about Formula One, and we'll get right into the World Series. But Danny, on to these sorry Packers and where they lost 27-17 against these Buffalo Bills. I thought it was going to be a blowout. This is only a 10-point game, but it felt like a blowout. Aaron Rodgers, 19 for 30 for 203 yards, 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones had a good game, 20 carries for 143 yards, but he was the only one who was really explosive. Nobody else really stepped up to the plate. Romeo Doubs, well, he kind of stepped up. I'll give him some props here. 4 catches for 62 yards, a beautiful touchdown catch that he had. I think if there was any silver lining in this game, Danny, was the fact that after Romeo Doubs caught this beautiful pass, he went to the sidelines and everybody was really giving him a lot of pound. Giving him a lot of props, a lot of credit, a lot of love. Josh Allen, 13 for 25, 218, 2 touches, 2 interceptions. Packers they don't look good, man. 4th straight loss. Who's to say that they can beat the Detroit Lions next week? We'll see. But nonetheless, the Packers, this looks awful. What say you, Danny?
Aaron Rodgers' final game total was kind of misleading because he only had 74 yards in the third quarter. And then he had some deep throws like that one to Dobbs and a few others later in the game. But otherwise, the rushing attack was really good last night. Aaron Jones did his thing, and A.J. Dillon actually had a couple good runs as well. And we talked about that last week where, from my standpoint, you got to get Dillon in a little more involved to offset Aaron Jones. But they had a lot of injuries yesterday as well. Josh Allen's 2 interceptions, I don't know. This game could have been a lot more lopsided. I think there are a couple decisions Josh Allen made or some throws he made that were uncharacteristic, put it like that, where he had a couple of times where one of those interceptions, he could have ran for like 30 yards and he decided to throw it and he threw it to a bunch of Packers. Green Bay stayed close though. They made it at least a decent game at the end, but now they're on to Detroit and Detroit can't stop anybody on defense. So if they don't win this game, yeah, I don't know what they do because Detroit they just fired I think their DB's coach today. So they're reeling as well. Their offense is up and down. They scored 27 in the first half. They scored 0 in the second half yesterday against Miami. So we'll see what happens next week with Detroit and Green Bay.
And then on to your Atlanta Falcons, where they actually won 37-34 against the Carolina Panthers, where they are now 4-4. 3-1 at home. I want to say they're leading the division. What say you?
As an Atlanta Falcons fan, this one was one that it just smelled of we're about to lose this game. There's that fourth quarter collapse and a couple stats here. Mariota threw 28 times. That 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Kyle Pitts got a touchdown. The running game did really well. Huntley led the charge with 91 yards. It's 31-28. We had the ball, and within the 10-yard line, we decided to kick a field goal, which gave Carolina the ball back with about 40 seconds left, no timeouts. And P.J. Walker, they're letting him run around and everything, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, here we go. He fired that ball. It had to be like a 60-yard throw. I don't have the exact yardage in front of me to DJ Moore. And what do you know? DJ Moore catches the ball with 12 seconds left. And just tore every Falcons heart out, man. They're all hyped up in Atlanta, rise up and everything, and that balloon popped. But then there was a key penalty where DJ Moore took his helmet off for excessive celebration. So that pushed him back on the extra point. Carolina missed the extra point. We go to overtime. We get the ball. Mariota throws this wild interception. Carolina brings it all the way back to our 20. Set up for the field goal to win the game. They shanked the field goal. We ended up getting the field goal at the end. And like you said, first place in the NFC South at 4-4. And we have the Chargers coming to town next week, which will be an interesting game.
Yeah.
And the Chargers, like I always say, they're the AFC version of us because they can't close the game either. So this one will be it'll be interesting for sure. They'll be coming off a bye, and we have some momentum, but our defense needs to step it up. But we're banged up. Our cornerbacks most of our cornerbacks are down. So the guys are stepping in, they're trying, but there was some key mistakes yesterday where they're lucky to get this victory. I mean, very lucky that Pinheiro shanked those 2 kicks. But today I'm smiling. I'll take that 4-4. You know, we got the Falcon shirt on today. And it was almost tears, Jay. It was almost tears after DJ Moore caught that pass. I was like, oh man, come on. So all in all, great game. Even if you weren't a Falcons or Panthers fan, it was a great game. Just the back and forth and the drama involved. So here we come, Chargers.
And Danny, you mean to say this rest of the NFL, one game in particular that I want to highlight. This Saints against the Las Vegas Raiders, Danny. 24-0. The Las Vegas Raiders take this L. You mean tell me you travel across the country, you don't score nothing, man? Come on, man. I mean, I started to look at this game because I was really intrigued. I wanted to see Davante Adams just go ahead. 1 catch for 3 yards. Derek Carr, 15 for 26 for 101 yards, an interception. They ended up bringing in Jarrett Stidham, backup quarterback, 8 for 13 for 72 yards. That was towards the end where the game was well out of hand. I think they just waved the white flag. Davante Adams didn't sign up for this. So this is going to be interesting to see how this goes the rest of the way. I don't know if the coach is going to last the whole season, maybe. We'll see. I wanted to highlight this game. I was just totally surprised.
So Jason, I gotta give a shout out to the Seahawks. Boy Geno Smith out here wilding out in Seattle. Got those boys ahead, first place in that division. Now you'd have told me the Seahawks being in first place after week 8, I would have said, man, you're crazy. But they're playing well. They have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett both played, and they weren't expected to play yesterday against the Giants. They beat the Giants. And that was a strong win, man. Another game of note was the 49ers and Rams, where McCaffrey threw a touchdown, ran a touchdown, caught a touchdown. Watch out for San Francisco now, because they have depth at the running back position with Jeff Wilson Jr. I'm curious what they do with him at the trade deadline. They might just keep him for depth because he's a great running back, or a good running back, I should say. But McCaffrey just gives them an extra element, man, that once and Debo didn't even play yesterday. And they beat down the Rams like they did 31-14. So great game by McCaffrey, man. It was close, and then they just put the afterburners on the Rams and beat them down. So,
and Danny, speaking of the trade deadline, do you think the Packers should go out and get a receiver?
I think they have to. Watson got hurt yesterday. Cobb is out on IR, and Sammy Watkins actually went out the game as well, if I'm not mistaken. They just need somebody. They just need a body. Honestly, I don't think they need to do anything crazy, because truth be told, I'm curious what they're thinking in the front office anyway about this season. They are in the
Yep.
NFC. The NFC, there's great opportunity to come back and actually do some damage here. It's only still week 8. So I'm very curious what the front office thinking. Is it let's go for it, or is it all right? Let's just hang, keep our picks, and get to the off season and see what happens there. I know there's some receivers out there that Chase Claypool, I heard rumored to be out there, Brandon Cooks. So there's actually some decent receivers out there to be had. But I'm watching them as well as a few other teams to see if they're going to be buyers or sellers.
I think, Danny, I've been going back and forth on this. I think the Packers should consider this O-line is terrible, man. They're injured. They're in and out of the lineup. Even if you get a receiver, the question is, could Aaron get him the ball because he's not protected? So I don't know. That's something to, really consider. Do you go for it now, or you wait until the offseason to get a good receiver? So we'll see. We'll see.
Yep.
Now, Danny, on to Formula One, and where there has been finally a ruling on the breach. Red Bull was handed a $7 million fine with a 10% wind tunnel reduction. Danny, they already spent over $145 million beyond his cap. Another $70, they ain't gonna hurt nothing. The fine, the penalty should be something with regards to impact to the race, to a specific race, to where there's impact to point, impact to placing, and that's what a lot of people are saying. Basically, that win last year by Max Verstappen, well, I can't even call it a win, that is tarnished because they cheated. So what good is it for a fine? And it should be like some kind of penalty that's going to impact the race, that's going to impact the eventual final points count. So this reeks of this, I don't know, man. This is just not a good thing, especially for, in my opinion, new Formula One fans. What say you?
This is like a slap on the wrist. That's all it is.
Yeah.
This is how is this ruling going to impact Red Bull? Not much. And that was when we first heard about this. Our thought was, okay, they can come down, actually set an example on Red Bull, and they didn't do anything. Ultimately, we're in, this season, the 2022 season. They do the same thing. They know the repercussions now. What's stopping them from doing it again? And how there's just too many things going on with that race now that just stand out, that just stink from what happened to Sir Lewis Hamilton and just the overall race and all these things behind the scenes that are going on that impacted the race that they just swept under the rug, so to speak. And I'm curious to see how some of the actual teams react to this as well. I haven't seen the reaction yet from the team standpoint. Because it's not just Mercedes, it's all these other teams.
For Ferrari has indicated, they're mad about it too.
So that's where the backlash has to come from the other teams to say and stand up to say this was not right and this was too light. Like I said, now the precedent has been set, and now Formula One's gonna have to deal with this going forward, and all these inconsistencies are just adding up, man. That's just tough to watch.
Now, Danny, on to the World Series, and where the World Series is tied 1 game apiece between the Philadelphia Phillies and Houston Astros. Game 3 is scheduled for tonight, maybe a rain delay or maybe a reschedule. Who you got in this, Danny?
Well, Houston's jumped out to 5-0 leads in both games. And obviously game 1, they lost the lead and lost the game. And then game 2, they held them off 5-2. I'm going to take the Astros to steal game 3. I don't know why. I have no other reasons, just the gut feel that I think this is one they may steal on Philly. Philly has they're playing with house money because they stole one in Houston. So now they have home field advantage, but this is where Houston gets it back. But the way the Phillies have been playing, man, it's tough to say because you can't, they never say die. I mean, never say die in these playoffs. So I would not be surprised if they won, but I'm going to go with Houston in game 3. How about you, Jay?
Listen, man, I don't know about this one, Danny. I'm pulling for Dusty Baker to get a ring. Not a Houston fan per se. Philly has that go get them. So I'm gonna have to say, I think Philly might get this one in game 3.
Okay.
But I think Houston's gonna come back in game 4 and tie it up. In terms of the series, it's a pick 'em for me, man.
This is close. It's definitely close.
It's close. Thank you for joining us at Back Porch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.